On Saturday, November 27, 2021, millions of Baha'is in communities across the world will commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abdu'l-Baha's passing. Who was Abdu'l-Baha? Why is his ascension an important holy day for Baha'is? And what lessons might we learn from him that are important for our world today? We've invited Lorna Bergner, a member of the Baha'i community in Western New York, to talk with us and provide with some answers to our questions. As you can see, Lorna has invited us into her kitchen, where she will share with us Abdu'l-Baha's recipe for building united, loving communities founded on the principle of unity in diversity. Welcome, Lorna, to Kaleidoscope.
Thank you, Stan. Thank you very much. And thanks to the network of religious communities. And thanks to everyone who may be watching this program. On previous occasions, we have talked about the founder of the Baha'i faith, Baha'u'llah, whose name in English means the glory of God. But today, as you've requested, we're going to talk about Abdu'l-Baha, another very important person to the Baha'is.
And here we are in your kitchen. Now, most of us have experienced working from our kitchen during the COVID pandemic, but you're in your kitchen for a very special reason.
Yes, I've got my apron on and I've assembled all my ingredients and I'm ready to go. And I've invited you here so that I can make a very special dessert, a dessert that you may wish to serve at any of your family gatherings. And while I'm making the dessert, I'm going to be sharing with you some stories about Abdu'l-Baha.
Well, who was he?
Yes, so as you mentioned, Stan, we're going to be holding meetings in our homes and in some cases public places where we will say prayers and read from the holy writings of our faith, and in a manner that will honor that poignant moment when Abdu'l-Baha departed from this world. So that is what November 27th is all about. And it happens to be this year, 2021, the 100th anniversary of his passing from this world.
And so you were talking about gathering. What types of things will you do to commemorate the event?
Well, not only do we have these prayer gatherings, and because his ascension or his passing is a somber time for remembering him, that's the actual observance will be prayers and readings mainly, maybe some music as well, but not dancing. This is a more sober occasion. However, this year, 2021, has been a year for us to reflect profoundly on his life. And we celebrate his life, a life that was dedicated to the service of all mankind. So you see, after his Baha'u'llah's passing in 1892, 30 years until 1921, when Abdu'l-Baha passed, he guided the early Baha'i community with love and fostered unity in their families, in the communities, and in the world. And he became known as an ambassador of peace. He was an exemplary human being. He not only spread the teachings of Baha'u'llah through talks and a prolific correspondence, but he also, in the later years of his life, traveled, and he came to America in 1912.
And he visited a number of cities, I understand.
Yes, he did. He gave talks in over 35 cities in the United States, and he called on America to become a land of spiritual distinction and leadership, to lead the world in establishing the oneness of humanity. For example, he gave several talks in Washington, D.C., and at that time, as you know, Washington society practiced segregation. Even so, Abdu'l-Baha encouraged people of all races to attend his talks, and they did when possible. One evening, he spoke at a meeting where the majority of the audience were white. Nevertheless, he talked about the oneness of mankind. And at the end of the talk, he passed out blackberries, you know, this delicious sweet fruit and beautiful color of black. And he gave blackberries to each one of the people attending that conference.
Now, I understand he also came to Buffalo, Niagara region.
That's right. So when he was in Buffalo, as in all the cities that he visited, the newspapers reported on his talks and often reported what he said during those talks. And here in Buffalo, he mentioned that the continent of Europe is one vast arsenal, which only requires one spark at its foundations, and the whole of Europe will become a wasted wilderness. And he was admonishing the Friends at that time to do what they could to avoid World War I. The Buffalo papers also reported that Abdu'l-Baha told his audience how beneficial it was for the people of the East and the West to visit each other so that they could increase their understanding through sharing of their language and culture. During his visit to Niagara Falls, he had the opportunity to visit a short time on the shores of Niagara Falls, and he sat for some time gazing into the roaring waters. And as he did so, we understand through reports of that time that he enjoyed some grapes and some pears. And I'm adding these two ingredients to my special dessert that I'm making.
So grapes and pears, simply because they were fruit, or did they symbolize more?
Not really. He loved fresh fruit and vegetables, and I do too. And these happen to be two of my favorite. In another speech in Washington, D.C. in November 1912, Abdu'l-Baha spoke to an audience consisting of various races. And he said, you know, anyone whose heart is pure is dear to God, whether white or black or red or yellow and brown. He said, you know, man is intelligent and thoughtful, and we're endowed with powers of the mind. Why then should we be influenced by the distinction of color or race, since we all belong to one family? So I think it's appropriate at this time for me to add to my special dessert some raspberries, beautiful color of red, as you can see, and some blueberries.
And when we come today, we think of, particularly with all the divisiveness and so forth, what is so important about his message?
Well, as I mentioned, the theme running through all his talks was the oneness of humankind. And he also spoke about that we are ready to have world peace. In fact, when he was at a speaking or between speaking engagements in New York City, Abdu'l-Baha met with Hudson Maxim. Now, Hudson Maxim and his family invented and manufactured weapons of war. And Mr. Maxim had the opportunity to meet personally with Abdu'l-Baha, and he asked Abdu'l-Baha, do you consider the next great war necessary, meaning World War I? And Abdu'l-Baha said, why not try peace for a while? Well, Maxim continued to insist on the need for human beings to war with each other and to develop more and more sophisticated weapons of war. Abdu'l-Baha listened attentively, did not argue with him, and praised him, saying, you know, you are a celebrated inventor and scientific expert whose energies and faculties are employed in the production of the means for becoming doubly famous. You have it for human destruction, but now you have the opportunity of becoming doubly famous. You must discover the means for peace.
Really a kind of powerful message at this point, to say that
Yes.
we have the opportunity to work for peace and unity.
Yes, Abdu'l-Baha gave that opportunity to Mr. Maxim to decide whether he wanted to add to his accomplishments and work for peace. I think regrettably, Mr. Maxim chose to be famous for only one.
Now, you have some pictures of his visits, and we have a photo of him. Can you share that with us in the last few minutes we have together?
Maybe at the end, I just want to say that I'm now adding some pineapple to add a little zing to this dessert and a little bit of orange juice, my secret ingredient. As you know, Stan, the world has changed quite a bit since Abdu'l-Baha's visit to the United States and since his passing 100 years ago. But in this relatively short time, we've made many advancements in science and technology. In all of his talks, Abdu'l-Baha urged us to also advance spiritually and to learn how to consult with each other so that we can share diverse ideas and so that the benefit can come to all mankind. So the Baha'is have been learning this new way of consultation. And I just want to mention that Amanda Ripley, in her book called High Conflict, documents what the Baha'is are doing worldwide and achieving some success in not only solving conflict, but also avoiding conflict.
So you finished your dessert at this point?
I'm just about finished. In fact, I'm very happy to show you. I've got the fruits all together in my bowl and I've mixed them up a little bit. And now we have this beautiful salad. You can see all the colors, the black, the red, the yellow, even some brown. I have put some grapes in here, as you know. And what will help me bring these flavors so that their true flavors can be more enhanced? So I'm adding a little bit of maple syrup. And you know, when we're talking about how can we get diverse peoples together to forget their prejudices and to really contribute to the betterment of society by working together, I'm just going to end with this brief statement from Abdu'l-Baha, which you'll find in this book called The Secret of Divine Civilization. He said, the perfect means for engendering fellowship and union is through religion.
Well, if you can, maybe you could take us out with some of the photos then you can share.
All right. I may disappoint you as far as a photograph of Abdu'l-Baha, but I do have a couple of photographs because another thing that the Baha'is have been doing throughout the whole year of 2021 is expressing themselves artistically to highlight the wonderful life of Abdu'l-Baha and his dedication to promoting peace and love and unity. So I'm going to share the screen now and we'll have a quick glimpse at some of those artwork. First of all, in the Netherlands, the government decided to make a post stamp featuring the design for the new shrine of Abdu'l-Baha that's currently being constructed in Haifa, Israel. Baha'i faith welcomes people of all backgrounds, and in his writings, Abdu'l-Baha made reference to the important role that the indigenous people of the world have in contributing to the advancement of civilization. And this is a piece that was done recently by an indigenous artist from the United States, featuring the symbol, one of the symbols of the Baha'i faith, showing the unity of God, mankind, through his messengers.
Well,
again,
Lorna Bergner,
yes, sir.
Thank you so much for sharing, and particularly sharing some of those wonderful works that are going on at this time and the life of Abdu'l-Baha.
Thank you for having me, Stan. I really appreciate it.
Have a good day, and now back to our host.
Thank you. Same to you.